Welcome to another episode of the 4 Degrees podcast where we talk all things climate change. And today we have an interesting guest in the room. I'm going to welcome Philip and Tegan.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Tegan. We always have interesting guests.
Yes,
right?
we always have interesting guests.
But like,
Yeah.
Very-
Everyone is fashionable.
Yeah, the
Right.
best
Right.
guest
Also,
yet.
also, we have to say, Tegan. This is the second time we have Tegan in the show.
Yeah.
We
It's a
we
secret
had,
second episode.
there's a secret. It'll be in the how do you call the? It's not the outtakes, but when you know in those old music albums of the 80s and 90s, when you would listen to the last song, once it's
The
done.
outro.
Like if someone's laughing.
No, and then for 5 minutes there will be nothing, and then there'll be an additional
I
secret
think
song.
he's showing his age. Yeah, I think he's showing.
I don't
his
know
age
that.
right here.
I don't know
what's
that.
going on.
But yeah, it's an interesting
Exactly.
it's an interesting take. You should tell us about that off camera.
Yeah, I'll tell
So
you
that we
later.
get it.
Like,
But today we are talking about something very interesting that Tegan does. She has ventured into climate and fashion. Something that you would not normally think about when you think climate change. So she did this in her master's thesis. She's done, submitted. And
Against odds.
yeah. And so today she's going to tell us about it. So tell us a bit about what the research was about. Tell us about how do we know each other.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Well, we know each other because we studied our ACDI masters together in
Yes.
climate change and sustainable development. And when I tell people that's what my degree is, and then I'm like, yeah, my thesis was on fashion, everyone's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you?
But it makes so much sense to me as someone who studied it, but from an outsider, how is the nexus of fashion and climate, how does that intertwine?
Yeah.
Like what I like to tell people is just think about any kind of manufacturing, think of a factory.
Yeah.
How much impact is that going to have on the environment? Then think about how many clothing pieces are
Yeah.
produced. Think about how many people in the world are wearing clothes, and
Yeah.
then think about the consumption habits that we have.
Yeah.
It is all just like one big amalgamation of like a huge environmental impact.
Yeah.
So it's something that's hidden a lot. Also, the fashion industry is very lucrative. People don't want you to know.
Yes.
There's also so much like greenwashing. I feel like greenwashing became popular because of things like the fashion industry's habits. So I really wanted to marry that in my research. But my thesis was actually more on like a sustainable development side. I looked
Yeah.
at the fashion industry in South Africa
Yeah.
and did a couple of different things. I used the multi-level perspective framework, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically just a
definitely not.
it's a social science. I wish I could just like show a little graph. It's a social
Give us the
science
graphs.
framework
Yeah.
that we use because there's so much going on within a system, whether
Yeah.
it's the energy system, whichever industry. There's a lot of different parts playing a role. So what this framework likes to do is just put a bunch of things together, whether that's industry practices,
Yeah.
cultural habits, those types of things. Puts it all together and kind of contextualizes the system and where it is, and then how the system shifts.
Yeah.
So I looked at like a sustainability transition
Yeah.
within the fashion industry. I used things like barriers and drivers, kind of understanding what my interviewees, which were different fashion
Yeah.
professionals in the South African industry, were identifying, and kind of place those barriers and drivers within this framework. And a couple of really interesting things like came up, a lot of things that you can expect, like cost barriers when it comes to investing and localizing, and that's a big focus in the fashion industry right now, localization.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of other things you can imagine, but also some interesting things that maybe you wouldn't expect. For example, like something that's very unique to South Africans, and maybe it's unique, like it's maybe perhaps not unique in a lot of developing countries,
Yeah.
but something that's unique in the literature in South Africa is that we are like culturally sustainable. And I think this is something I really want to focus on, bridging that gap, is that your hand-me-downs, your repairs, your habits that you have at home, you
Yeah.
saving your food in Tupperwares and not
Yes.
letting food go to waste, that's all sustainability
Yeah. Yeah.
at play. And so I think it's like, I don't know, it was what really came out from my thesis with me was or like what hit home was realizing, oh, we're far more sustainable than we like to believe, and we need to go
Yeah.
back to our roots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we I guess what he's saying is we we used to be, or like we meaning you, because Precious and I were both not South African, but I guess, and we're basically perhaps needing to unlearn some of the things, like routines, practices that we've now come accustomed to, because there's actually something that one can build on that is truly sustainable in a fashion, but also in other senses.
Yeah, and even I think knowing that some of the things that you do based off of how you were raised is actually sustainable. Like allowing yourself to take a hand-me-down. I think for some people, it's very common for me to, this is a hand-me-down from my sister. It's comfortable for me to have something from someone. But for some people, it's like, I would want something new all the time.
Yeah, we've shifted what's normal.
Yeah.
To get, so I get that sense that sometimes things that you do every day is actually being sustainable. You just don't know that you're being sustainable.
Don't label it. What I like to say is that we've like, in the sustainability movement, we've like lost the plot. Because it's made to be this thing that's like, oh, you need to buy this very ethical, like handmade, like R1,000,000 garment, but which is a part of sustainability. I mean, there's tons of different faces to what sustainability is, but at the root of it, like I said, going back to our roots, it's things like hand-me-downs and community and connecting and sharing and all of that stuff. So I like to say, like, we've lost the plot a bit.
What is sustainability or sustainable fashion for you?
Yeah.
For me, it's interesting because I think it's shifted so much, and it always is shifting. And so what I'd like to contextualize it as saying, for me at the moment, sustainable fashion is people. I grew up from coming from a very like environmentalist, like very strong activist, like a black and white thinking. And through my thesis and talking with people in the industry and understanding more, sustainable fashion is so much about people, and people are the people that are going to change it.
They're going to change it, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's so focused on, it's so pivoted around perceptions, and
That's true.
it's interesting because people won't identify something as sustainable even if it is, and I think that's where my focus is at the moment, at this intersection of climate and fashion, is connecting people with the idea of what true sustainability is, and almost meeting someone where they're at. I'm still understanding what that looks like, and seeing how can people relate to sustainability, and how can I show people that you making these decisions and these choices is impacting your cost of electricity or something, because everything's all connected. I mean, there's been studies that have come out, or informal research that's come out showing how like rand away from or towards Shein is away from local production and local families, and all of that has an impact on the economy, and it trickles down into how we live our everyday lives. So sustainable fashion for me is bridging perceptions.
Interesting.
I'm seeing that we are using the word fashion a lot, which we haven't asked you what really is fashion. Obviously, when someone is listening to this episode, when they hear climate and fashion, they're going to think fashion runway or fashion everyday way of putting together a couple of clothes to look a certain way. What really, I think the best person to ask this question is you. Like, what really is fashion when we think of like fashion?
I mean, that's super important to put a description to what we're talking about. And I think that's a common thing in all the, I guess, sustainability related conversations. Everyone's like, okay, what is sustainability to you? What is climate to you? What is climate change in your context? So for me, fashion, how I like to describe it is kind of everything. I kind of throw it all under one word or term, which is fashion, because people identify with what fashion means. They're like, oh, okay, fashion, yes, clothes. But it means the runway, which trickles down. I mean, if anyone's watched Devil Wears Prada, I'm not sure who your audience is, but if they've watched Devil Wears Prada,
so the sequel is coming out now.
I'm going tomorrow. I'm so excited.
I've read mixed reviews, but maybe we'll need to have you back.
Yeah, we can
after the movie.
I'm a big fan of just leaving good things as they are. I feel like everything's a cash grab these days, but maybe I eat my words. Hopefully tomorrow when I watch it, it's amazing. But in The Devil Wears Prada 1, there's a scene where the kind of CEO of this fashion company is saying, like, you think you're not involved. You think you've picked this jersey or this sweater for yourself, but it's actually been chosen for you by, she says, the people in this room, by the fashion editors, by the designers, by all those people.
Yeah.
It's all connected. So it trickles down from the runway, from all those big platforms, all the way down into the stores that we're walking into every day.
Yeah.
So it's one big system, but the hidden part of it is the people making those clothes.
Yeah.
And there's so many, there are countless, in fact, stories of cases where garment workers are being exploited.
Yeah.
A really famous one that started Fashion Revolution, which is a big volunteer program, a global organization, was started because of the Rana Plaza collapse, where many garment workers were killed. There was even a similar thing happening maybe a year or two ago, where a garment factory, there was a fire because of incorrect practices, and the doors were locked, the exit doors were locked.
Oh my
so there were people
days.
actually trapped inside.
This happened, the first situation you mentioned, this happened in Bangladesh a few years ago, right, where hundreds, not even thousands of workers perished.
And they even identified, and I'm jumping from the stories, but at the Rana Plaza disaster, there was even an identification of the building not being safe. But because of fear of losing their jobs, the workers still came in. And then that happened. So it's literally, this is what advocating for workers' rights is. And we all benefit from garment workers' labor.
We do.
I mean, if anyone's tried to sew anything before, you know that is labor.
Yes.
It's very hard.
It takes a lot of work, a lot of skill.
Exactly. And
patience.
every piece is made with humans, human labor and the human workforce.
Yeah.
So it's also interesting because I love the fashion industry because people can't really conceptualize things like energy. Like there's wires in the wall and now there's lights on. But fashion, you're looking at it, you're wearing it, you're intimate with the pieces. And so it's a bit easier to bridge that gap between perception and sustainability when you're a bit more intimate with what the product is.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Wow.
Then I guess at the same time playing devil's advocate, so-called fast fashion brands who purport non-sustainable practices have become very popular in the past few years. How does that go hand in hand?
How does that play a role in all this
It's true.
energy?
It's a whole thing. I mean, again, the fashion industry, like when you're saying how does it play a role with energy and everything, it's so... I could feel like we could talk about this forever because the fashion industry has water impacts, and whether that's water pollution or using up water as a resource, it has energy impacts, it has pollution impacts, whether it's air or actually the clothes before life, in the water, polluting waterways, or after life being discarded. There's so many different factors to the fashion industry that like integrate so many different things. And fast fashion just like amplifies everything. To put really simply, like it just literally exemplifies all the bad. And my opinion is that I don't think fast fashion even made us more fashionable. I think it's made maybe certain trends more accessible, but what I'm finding in today's conversations that I have with people in the fashion industry, or even people not in the fashion industry, like other women my age who are trying to express themselves, there's a huge trend on TikTok where people are talking about how no one knows what size they wear, but also no one's wearing their right size, even on purpose. So I feel like the fast fashion has given us this outlet to almost like abuse other, that's a very aggressive word, but I'm using it on purpose, to abuse like other impacts. I don't have a nice word for it, but how we play into body dysmorphic things, and like heroin chic is back, and all these like labels put on perhaps like women and how they need to look and all these things. I feel like fast fashion just gives us a way to play that out. So not only is there a environmental impact, and I think in our previous secret hidden episode I spoke a lot about the environmental impact, but now as I said, I'm focused a lot on people at the moment, and I'm understanding that the fast fashion impacts go beyond the planet. It feels like people don't care about the planet almost, and they should, and I will keep advocating for it, but it's almost like there's this secret hidden cost of the human psyche
Yeah.
being it's being like taken advantage of, and
We could say it has made us even more anxious.
more anxious, more things that we have to now. You have to be dressing this certain way, and there's this new trend, and like it's a lot.
There's a lot of things that you have to think about when you get in a shop, and then when you are like out of the shop, you go on your phone. It's there. You go there.
Like,
it's like
maybe I shouldn't have bought. I should have sized down. Like this size is, I don't know. They don't even cater for this size, so I have to size down. And like, there's a lot at play that could really be unpacked for hours.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Especially because we were talking about going to a shop. Who actually does that? And then is there? But that's a whole different issue.
Yeah,
and then we're
exactly.
like, then the fashion industry is intertwined with the use of technology.
Yes.
AI
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
more energy use, more use of resources. Everything is becomes more unsustainable. It's like it exacerbates the impact that the fashion industry already has.
Yeah.
From a climate perspective, as we've touched a lot on, let's say, the environmental impact, pollution, aerosol pollution, pollution of waterways that ties into the planetary boundaries. We talked about use of freshwater resources, etc. Within those 9 planetary boundaries, only one is climate change, but we've mentioned others too, and they all tie into each other.
Yeah.
Right? Do you see any specific climate impacts on the fashion industry, perhaps on workers in that sense? How does that play into?
It's an interesting. It's a very interesting space to be in. I find the sustainability conversation around fashion.
Yeah.
Again, but I think maybe all sustainability conversations, climate change is often put on the back foot. It's a lot of focus on more immediate things around environmental impacts, maybe. So I think the conversation around sustainability in fashion is very, or not I think, it is very, at least in South Africa, is very focused on people. Like, and it's funny because I'm saying I'm focusing on people. I see those as kind of two different things, like my personal understanding of connecting with people, and then this kind of performative almost sustainability of being like, we need to do this and this, and it's all pivoted on like localization, which is extremely important. I will never undermine the importance of that.
Could you explain what localization means?
Yes, yeah. So localization is basically the term used for bringing everything back into South Africa, whether that's manufacturing or things like that. It's kind of a broad term. It can mean a different thing in a different context, but in fashion it's just making more stuff here, making more stuff on the ground, because that means more job opportunities.
Yes.
And when people's livelihoods are better, their wellness is better, when they earn more, and all of that. And that's super important. It's so important. But I find, and what a lot of my interviewees said, is that there's a huge focus placed on that, and then a huge kind of just a bit of ignorance towards the environment. And as people who work in the environmental space, we know that the environment is people. It is people's livelihoods. For me, when I talk about climate change, I like to bring it home by saying, you are nature. The air in your lungs is nature. The food on your plate is nature. Without all of that, we don't survive. So it's interesting because there's a focus on people, but I feel like not a big enough focus on people to also include the environment. And how lives will go. So I think there's a big focus globally on that aspect of sustainability, but climate change is often put on the back foot, but also because people don't understand the impacts that climate change will have. Although it is brought into the conversation, some very nuanced conversations do bring up things like agriculture and how, cotton and all of those, even livestock farming and the leather industry, those types of things, those are being impacted now with changes, and we're in an El Nino, so that means that things are a bit different and a bit more extreme than they normally are. So there is some discussion of climate change, I find. Obviously, as a climate change researcher, I'm like, it's not enough, we need more, we need to connect it with people, we need to connect it with what climate change actually is. And but I guess that's a bit of a rambly answer, but it's an interesting forefront of a conversation that's pushing forward.
It also speaks to the complexity of the issue. Right?
Yeah, you talked about the interviews that you had, and I'm keen to hear what were the main findings when you asked them. What questions were you asking them? Did they have an idea of what climate change is, or were they going like, there we go again with another interview?
Yeah, so I guess the scope of people I asked it was a bit of, it's hard to call anyone unsustainable, but it was a bit of the like unsustainable bigger corporations, and then more sustainable small scale businesses. And then I also interviewed like an environmental lawyer and other people, activists, influencers, stuff like that. And I would guess everyone kind of knew about climate change, because it's somewhat educated professionals, very experienced. And if you're in that space, everyone's going to know about environmental impacts. Whether they were focused on it or not, there was always the desire to be more sustainable.
Yes.
There's always that, almost the talk and the innate, like, I don't have a nice word, but like that, I guess, desire. That push
that
to
nudge
move
in
forward
them.
into a better future. And so, most people were engaging with the topic and wanting solutions.
Yeah.
What was very helpful was understanding the barriers. So a lot of people are focused on cost and those types of things. So I guess the conversations often came up about, there's not enough environmental focus, but there's also not enough money to do things around that. So the people focus is very useful to rehash. Like, it's obviously extremely important, without a doubt. It's also very useful to focus on because that's where the money is going.
Yes.
That is...
Is it though?
No, true. But you can't get like funding and stuff if you're not tackling our biggest issues, which are like unemployment and stuff. And it's interesting because then I come back to the fact that money to Shein and Temu is money away from locals.
Yes.
So it's all intertwined, and advocating for people means advocating for localization and advocating for these things. But so a couple of the activists or influencers or people within organizations that advocate for workers' rights and stuff were saying like there's not enough environmental discussion. But also we understand that can't be the focus right now in the context of South Africa's economy. So how do we work with that and move forward and create a better future for everyone, including issues right now, but also the issues we'll have in 5-10 years with 1.5, 2 degrees warming.
That's
and
interesting.
likely more in South Africa.
It's like it's tied to priorities and like immediate priorities, but also thinking of the future, which is what sustainability is all about. You think of the now, and then you think of what you're going to leave for the future generations. I have a question about, I know that you submitted, it's in marking and everything's going well, but you've also ventured into other things since your submission. Do you care to tell us about some of the interesting things? Because I've seen you around and I've seen that you're still in the fashion industry as well. You're still getting into all of that, but you're also still getting into other things like invasive species and stuff. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Of course. So also to contextualize for the viewers, I started as an environmentalist, like activist, when I was in high school, and that developed, and I then studied biodiversity and ecology, and then did my honors, and I was like, okay, I was doing like seaweed and different climate change scenarios, like the photosynthetic efficiency of that. And then I was like, I love this, but I also would love to do more people-focused things. So I found this master's program at UCT, came here, spoke to my supervisor. I was like, I'm interested in your energy transition stuff. And she was like, well, what are you interested in? And I was like, fashion. She was like, let's go, let's do it, let's apply these frameworks to the fashion industry. So it happened very organically, but throughout that process I've been very passionate and talkative online, I'll say. I've always been sharing my kind of like hobbies or passions or things like that, and it's obviously been around environmentalism and stuff like that. And yeah, I started exploring that over my honors year, and that kind of developed as I did my master's. So I like to call myself like a researcher by day and content creator by night. Even though I would hardly call myself a content creator. It's very like touch and go. But it's brought me really cool opportunities, because I get to express this, like communicate the science.
Yes.
And I really like like that kind of work. It's very challenging. It's very interesting. How do you make this complex thing relevant to like any audience member? Because when you're posting online, it's like anyone
can see it.
Yeah, it's different when you're like addressing a room. You can see who your target audience is. So that's been fun. It's fun to get my mom's friends be like, oh, I saw Tegan's video. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. It's quite fun. I'm like, okay, that's apparently who my audience is reaching. Or like, it's interesting to tailor the message then. But yeah, then I guess that through that, I ended up getting on some people's radars. So I've done some cool stuff with Cotton On. They have a project called, it's with the One Tree Planted organization, and the One Tree Planted identifies different projects around the world that need some kind of support, and through them Cotton On put some funding. So I got to go to Limpopo and see the work that they're doing, removing the alien invasive trees. Again, such fascinating work that these organizations are doing. You never know. It's like in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't say that, but people would say in the middle of nowhere, where this, I'm not going to go into all the details, but alien trees are coming up, and then that impacts the river all the way down the line, all the way up until the Kruger. So then, that's like a tourism hub, and it's such a big deal for the South African economy. If that's impacted, like all those jobs and everything is impacted. So this little group is like doing all this amazing work upriver that isn't seen. And it was awesome to be in that space and get to explain kind of more of a environmental context and science context to that work as someone who's blended the fashion and environmentalism and science. Doing little projects like that,
that is so cool.
It's really exciting. I'm really like in the place I want to be, like communicating these important stories.
That is so cool. By the way, amazing. You look so good. We'll give it up for the whole outfit. While you give us while you give us 3
Germany,
pointers.
When I traveled.
Then you give us 3 pointers on how to be sustainably fashionable.
How to be sustainably fashionable.
Fashionably sustainable.
Fashionably sustainable. That's the word.
Well, number 1, engage with your roots. So hand-me-downs, like sharing. Come back to what you did as a child. I think even if you're not South African, I think most people have engaged with that. My partner in Germany is always sharing his hand-me-downs with his young siblings. It's a very natural thing. So engage with your natural urge to share. Is what I will say. That's my number 1. My number 2 is to find a tailor. I've been telling everyone who'll listen, I found a tailor like at my nearby shopping mall, literally at the bottom, like hidden. They are so underrated. Your jeans don't fit, they'll fix it. Like, and if you find an affordable one, it can be much easier to do that route than to learn yourself. I have tried to learn. I'm quite awful at sewing. Love a tailor. If there's something you want fixed, or if your pants have, like I always have holes in my jeans, they fix it. That's my second one.
Fix it, don't buy new.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's so nice because it's also, again, contributing to a local economy. It's contributing to a family. I've gotten very close with my tailor. I know he's always on FaceTime to his family, like in India or somewhere, and he's like, hello, and then you're like in there. Exactly. So it contributes to family livelihoods. And then my third one is to be aware. So I know I haven't said anything about buying clothes or dressing a certain way. For me, it's engaging with sharing. It's the community and engaging with the community, and then engaging with knowledge and engaging with information, and knowing where your clothes come from. Read your labels, know what materials you're wearing. There's a lot out there. So I would recommend starting small by reading your labels, understanding what the material is that you're wearing. And there's also a lot of research on how, I don't know if anyone's heard of the plastic detox. There was like a big Netflix show. I actually haven't watched it yet, but apparently it's really good, and it talks about how plastic is, it's in everything, and that includes your clothing.
Yeah.
So just being aware of that, I think that helps pull people away from this consume, and maybe be a bit more conscious. But yeah, I'd say those are my 3 tips.
Thank you so much.
That is so great.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would like for you to share with us all the links to all those things that you've mentioned. You mentioned a lot of things, but also send us through links to this Cotton On Foundation thing that you went to at the Kruger and all the work you've done. And please share your social media handles with us so we can always share with people, and then they get to see your little corner of the world and how you're doing things in the fashion industry, but also just you as a person. Like you said, it's about the people. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tegan.
This was such a great chat.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always great to have you. It's always so great to have you.
Yeah, next time
You
we'll do the 3rd one.
Exactly.
That'll also be a secret. So the 4th one we'll make live. Exactly.
Yeah, and then
That's
we'll
when
make
that's
live.
where we're going to talk about Devil Wears Prada too.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
That's the secret one. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. This was such a great episode. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Like and subscribe.
Actually, yeah.
And share.